the scariest serial killer in Colombia, nicknamed the Beast. Luis Alfredo Garavito was born on 25 January 1957 in Genova, Colombia. He was the eldest of 7 children and was raised in Western Colombia. He attended school for only a few years and endured a difficult childhood, suffering abuse by his father and several neighbors. During his killing spree in the 1990s, many Colombian boys, most between the ages of 8 and 16, were reported missing or found dead, their bodies brutally mutilated and bearing signs of sexual assault. In 1997, the discovery of a graveyard containing the bodies of 36 boys near the city of Pereira prompted a nationwide manhunt. A decades-long civil war raged in Colombia that had begun in the late 1960s and left thousands of citizens homeless, fending for themselves on the streets. Many of those left homeless were children, their parents either dead or long gone, ensuring that no one would notice if they went missing. Luis Garavito would use this to his advantage in 1992 when he committed his first murder. Careful about his crimes, Garavito specifically targeted the downtrodden, the homeless, and orphan boys who roamed the streets looking for food or safety. Once he found one, he would approach him, lure them away from the crowded city streets, promising them gifts or candy, money or employment. And Garavito would dress the part when offering a job, impersonating a priest, a farmer, an elderly man, or a street vendor, looking for someone young to help around his house or business. He would rotate his disguises often, never appearing as the same person too often to avoid suspicion. Once he'd lured the boy away, he would walk with him for a time, encouraging the boy to share with Garavito about his life to earn his trust. In reality, he was wearing the boys down, walking just long enough that they would tire, making them vulnerable and unwary. Then, he'd attack. Luis Garavito would corner the tired victims and bind his wrists together. Then he'd torture them beyond belief. According to police reports, the Beast truly earned his nickname. The bodies of the victims that were recovered showed signs of prolonged torture, including bite marks and anal penetration. In multiple cases, the victim's genitals were removed and placed in his mouth. Several of the bodies were decapitated. In February of 1998, the bodies of 2 naked children were found on a hillside in Pereira, lying next to each other. A few feet away, another corpse was found. All 3 had their hands bound and their throats slashed. The murder weapon was found nearby. While searching the area around the 3 boys, police came across a note with an address handwritten on it. The address turned out to be Luis Garavito's girlfriend, whom he had been dating for years. Though he wasn't in the home at the time, his things were, and the girlfriend gave the police access to them. In one of Garavito's bags, police discovered pictures of young boys, detailed journal entries in which he described each of his crimes, and tally marks of his victims. A search for Garavito continued for days, during which known residences of his were searched, as well as local areas where he was known to hang out to look for new victims. Unfortunately, none of the search efforts turned up any information on Garavito's whereabouts. That is, until 22nd April. Roughly a week after the hunt for Garavito had begun, police in a neighboring town picked up a man on suspicion of rape. Earlier, a young man sitting in an alleyway had noticed a young boy being followed and eventually accosted by an older man. Thinking that the situation was dire enough to intervene, the man rescued the boy and alerted authorities. The police arrested the man on suspicion of attempted rape and booked him. Unbeknownst to them, they had in their custody one of the world's deadliest killers. As soon as he was interrogated by Colombian National Police, the Beast cracked under the pressure. He confessed to abusing 147 young boys and burying their bodies in unmarked graves. He even drew maps to the grave sites for police. The maximum penalty for murder in Colombia is roughly 13 years. Multiplied by the 138 counts he received, Luis Garvito's sentence came out to 1,853 years and 9 days. Colombian law states that people who have committed crimes against children are required to serve at least 60 years in prison. However, because he helped the police find the victims' bodies, Luis Garvito was given 22 years. In 2021, he made a very public plea for his release, saying he has been a model inmate and is living in fear of being killed by other inmates. However, a judge denied the request because he had not paid a fine for his victims that roughly totaled $41,500. La Bestia remains behind bars and is currently up for parole in 2023.